to someone for an evaluation. When you see a coin and book show, frequently you're going to find paper currency also.
Okay.
So that take it to the coin show.
All right.
And just as it is, and walk it from booth to booth.
And no value currently, like, I mean, as far as like what maybe he paid for that, or
Most,
you know, like
most,
what denomination it would
most currency begins around $25 of this age.
be? Okay.
But I would hesitate to give it that value because
Right.
it's a very narrow field.
Right. Conditions and all that.
So take it to a coin show.
Great.
And that will be best.
I'll do that.
Whose is this? Okay. This appears to be a jewelry case, and I base that on the fact that here is the little slot for the rings. So that this would have been a lady's piece, perhaps I hate to use the word tourist, but it would have been a gift piece, sounds better. It would have been a gift piece that would have been brought home from someone who was in the Orient and presented as a gift item. There are little drawers. The workmanship is really quite nice. The little pulls are well crafted. They're all in size. They're not just hanging there. And the fact that you have all the drawers, you already find these, and the drawers are missing. There appears to be a jade insert. The question would be, is that real jade or is it a synthetic? That would be the challenge. And you should take it to a jeweler who could identify if this is real jade. One would think by the other work on it that it would be jade. But jade is very expensive, and they may not have wanted to put it into a piece like that. Usually jade is for jewelry. Jade jewelry in this celadon color is $700. So the value, where did you acquire it? Also, okay. I wonder if this came from the same house as
Yeah.
This obviously is for again a wealthy home where they had a need in jewelry, and traveled often, and that's the kicker. Did someone travel? Because at the turn of the century, only the wealthy had the money to travel. There was no.
Do you have any year or something like that?
I would say turn of the century, 1890. The fabric is pretty well preserved, but it's gold thread and it looks good. So that would be my guess. It's very nice. Here's this picture with the hair jewelry.
That's me.
Okay. Auction. Well, here's the story. If somebody's had a chance to come and look at the hair jewelry. Hair jewelry is a elegant form. It was often mourning jewelry, used for mourning purposes. And there were small pins, and there were earrings and brooches, usually. And in this case, they have taken hair, and it has been wrapped around wire that makes a crescent item. And this one's particularly nice because in the center, it shows a woman who is, I am assuming, and it's from Wauseon, Ohio, so it's fairly local. I am assuming this is the deceased, and they have put her picture there, and this is not her hair necessarily, but to commemorate, they have made a hair picture, because that jewelry was normally worn as a mourning item.
What they told me,
Yes.
if it was a full circle,
Yes.
the person was deceased.
So should we do it?
If it was an open wreath, the person was still living.
Oh, I see. See, I assume that
That's what they told me.
they're memorializing the individual who's in the frame. The frame is very nice, and I guess it must have come with it. And up here at the top, there is some ruching of fabric to make it appear more elegant than it is. But this was an art form which sounds sort of garish and rather distasteful. But it was very popular, and everybody had long hair. There were no shortcuts. So, and the costume on the person being remembered, or on European, both, tradition. Again, urban. Nobody in Medina County could be making hair wreaths historically. I mean, this is an out-of-area piece. Value here. All right. This moves into the Victorian market. And that when I say Victorian market, that means this would be used in a Victorian setting. And that look because normally one would look at this and say, this is an unwanted item. And whether an item is wanted drives the value. Mm-hmm. If something is wanted, up goes the value. If it is unwanted, it drops. But in a Victorian setting, this would be sought after. If someone was refurbishing a home, a bedroom area, they would love this. So I'm going to, my value on this in the Victorian market would be $400 to $500, just because of the workmanship, condition, rarity, and the fact that there's a face, there's a person, makes this worthwhile. It's a very, very nice piece. Yes. The bottle. Okay. This is the Prohibition bottle, right?
Yes.
Right. Prohibition came along when they decided that the world was evil. And the root of all evil was liquor. And so between Canada and the Caribbean, we had a lot of bootlegging done. Now this bottle is marked that it is not to be reused or for resale or refilled. I want to talk more about how the bottle is made. This bottle has a very nice shape. It is machine made, and these were pressed into a mold. This is not blown like early bottle collectors that are collecting bottles. This is pressed into a mold. It would have had a cork top as opposed to a twist, which gives it nice age. And of course the amber color is very typical. It was also protective because it shielded light and so forth. This is a 415. So to bottle collectors, because it is well marked, this would probably be around $30.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice. Nice to put up on a shelf.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we have here, very fragile, a blue Gary. I don't want to lift it. I want to be careful not to how it's going to do.
You can lift it.
But all right, let me turn it. This is a sample of what we call illustrator art, as opposed to art. And illustrator art has a certain realism to it, and they're usually homey, charming subjects, often with children. Norman Rockwell is illustrator art, as opposed to more serious art. And the illustrator art is very, very appealing, and currently is very, very strong. Who belongs to second? The boys here. All right. Yes. All right. This is Lou Gehrig, whose last game was in, I think, in the 50s, 1956 or so. Is when he retired from baseball, and the look of the child, the shoe style, the glove style, the hat style, is very much of the 50s. So that this was and it is a lithograph, and would have been distributed at the time of his retirement from baseball, to be given as a gift in every boy's room, because the message here is we want every boy to grow up to be a hero. So that's why there's this shadow behind, and probably this is an original lithograph, so that not one that's been made. There are catalogs where you can buy all of this art. That's the sad part. That has been reissued, so that my guess is that this is original. How to tell if it is? You need to take it to an art gallery, and they will put a lope on it, a magnifying, and they will be able to see the little points of the lithograph when they are magnified, and they will be able to tell you if it is original or if it's late. If it's late, the little dots will not be there. If it's early, the little dots will be there under great magnification. Price. As I said, currently, this market is very strong. It is appealing, and people are putting it in their homes. They're putting it down in family rooms, casual game room areas, entertainment centers. Anybody who likes sports, they're very popular. Here I would give about $120. I mean, if I had it in my booth, that's what I'd be putting the price on. It's $120. Nice little thing. All right, we have a little, whose is this? Oh, all right. This is just a little box. It does have a mark on the bottom, JB 181, and then there's a little trim around it. These were little pot metal boxes. Sometimes they were, I hate to say it, they were very refined ashtrays. When smoking for women was not appropriate. But sometimes they're little pieces, sometimes they're just a little whatnot. But it is a pot metal glazed and flashed with usually it's a brass composition material to make it look like gold. They want it to look very fancy. This would have been very comfortable in either of those pieces of furniture. They are of the same age. So you're talking your little Bombay shape, Bombay referring to this bulbous shape, and probably, this would be worth between $22 and $24. Something there. Very nice. All right, there's a copper. Okay. This is called a Lambert product. There was a time in the arts and crafts movement, which is 1910, 1914, where stippled copper, particularly copper, was very popular in home decoration. And this is an example of one where they would take an interior home item and stipple it with, it is what we call tulle. But it was very popular at that time, and it's in an oak frame, which was the popular wood at the time. This is rather commercial, meaning it may not be that early. It may be more a product of the 50s, made to look to the old. And the reason I say that, the topic of the spinning wheel is Americana. Arts and crafts were not interested in spinning wheels. So the subject matter does not match the copper material. So would lead one to believe that this is a much later piece, so that it's decorative and pleasing, but that's the origin of the tooled copper. Value here would probably be $30. It's a piece of the times. Nice. I'll catch this piece on the other.
Okay.
On the other side. Whose is this?
Mine.
All right. A magazine stand. What do you know about it?
It came from an aunt's home. It's probably late 1920s, early 30s.
Yes. Painted furniture took on a lot of interest at exactly that time in the 20s and 30s, and it's sometimes referred to as cottage furniture. There was cottage furniture that was earlier, and that was to take a classic Americana form, and they painted it, and there were usually unique colors. Often they were yellows and mustards, blues and turquoises, and they were painted with hand-flashed trim. If any of you tour the house at Stan Hewitt, one of the upstairs bedrooms for the girls, the bedroom suite there is this decorated, painted furniture, and their set is in cream, and this is of the same era. It's a house of the teens, 20s, maybe very, very early 30s, and every house had a magazine rack because there were more magazines. And nowadays, you have to work hard. There's no more Newsweek. They quit publishing the magazines, but everyone had this in the living room. Again, reading was an entertainment in the evenings, and you wanted to have an array of your magazines. This is a lady's piece. This is not a gentleman's piece. So this might have been upstairs in her bedroom, and it would have had the ladies sewing, knitting, crocheting, home decorating, fashion magazines. Probably not her cooking, but there was a very strong market of magazines that served the home arts of women. and it was knitting, sewing, pattern making, that sort of thing. The value here, I see these around in the market. I see these between, probably $85 and $125. Yeah, you know, and they're pleasing and usable. I would keep the finish as it is, don't paint it. Yours is to repaint it,
Oh,
you
no,
know.
no.
Everybody wants to
No, no.
update something,
No.
but leave it as it is. And it would be fun to find vintage magazines to put in it. And you can
Yeah,
paint.
very
They're out
cool. Very proud
A
of you.
mustache cup. A mustache cup. What do you know about it?
All I know belonged to my great-grandmother who died in 1930 at age 90.
Well, I'm quite smitten by it. Here's what's interesting.
Beautiful.
Look how ladylike the cup is. Again, it's a mustache cup. So obviously, this was the set of china being used for the lady of the house. And look at the style of the handle, which is a very good clue to its age. This puts it into the 1880s, 90s, probably done by 1910 or so. They didn't have this style, but it's that very, very high structural handle. And I always love a cup if it's up on feet. The gold flashing was very popular also at that time. Gold flashing came back in the 50s, where the trim on things, if you could flash it with gold, added value. But this is probably a pattern. There's the remnant of a mark on the bottom, but it's a very, very sweet and in excellent condition. Condition when you get into porcelains. None of this is chipped, and the handle's perfect. Value. I'd be putting $45 on it as a single piece, if you had the saucer or other pieces. But it's very, very sweet. Very, very sweet. It's nice. All right, we have a little nude lady here. Whose is this? Okay. It appears to be, because the scenic behind it is tropical, I'm guessing it's a novelty brought back from
Hawaii.
World War II,
Right.
is my guess. Because it's a little nude honey, and this is the pose of, is it Betty Grable? One of those nudies. That was calendar art that kept the soldiers alive emotionally for a while. It's in the exact same form. So that this would have been a tourist pickup item. And what's interesting about it is because of its, of its age, and it mirrors the form of other art of that period, So I see these at $15. Clock, St. Thomas clock. All right. What do you know about your clock?
I was told that it was on a farm in Tennessee during the Civil War.
Yes.
It came from Columbia, Tennessee.
Yes.
It's on-
Yes.
That's all I know.
All right.
It's been ticking ever since. It's very
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. All right. This is, and I'm not going to move it, you'll have to come and look at it later. This is a Seth Thomas mantle clock that has a door that opens. Turn the little button. And of course, it has a nice double wind, meaning it has both. It has both the time and the chime. And I'm going to see the chime. Nice.
Nice.
Isn't that a pleasing sound
Yes, it is.
in the home? Nice. Probably an 8-day wind. Now, on the back is a label that said Columbia, Tennessee. Every jeweler that sold clocks, every fine gift store, every emporium, might be a better word, that sold clocks, put their own label on the back of the clock. Sometimes you'll find it on the face of the clock that identifies that this store of elegance sold this elegant item. It was a means of advertising.